Hi, guys, and welcome back to the City Sculptors Season 2. I cannot believe how fast time has gone. I cannot wait for you to listen to all of our episodes and get to hear all of our guests and all of the knowledge that they have to share with you. Make sure to tune in 7 a.m. Monday morning. Hi, and welcome back to the City Sculptors. I am your host, Alexis Williams, and today we are joined by Jackson County Prosecutor Melesa Johnson. She is the first Black person to hold this role, and growing up in Kansas City, you have dedicated your career to making it safer, stronger, and more equitable for everyone. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much for having me. Yay. It's truly an honor.
Yes, I'm so glad. So let's get into it. For those who don't know your background, how did you end up here? I feel like I can't say like, oh, you're 60 and it was a long journey. You're fairly young for like these accolades.
Yes. No, I'm 36.
Yes.
And my roots are firmly planted right here in Kansas City, specifically the urban core. During my campaign, people probably got tired of hearing me say, I'm a proud product of Kansas City's 3rd District. And it's home, It is a place that instills so much grit, so much tenacity, so much ability to be able to operate in any room God has placed me in and order my steps. And honestly, that is kind of the building blocks that I decided to just leverage to progress and go to college. I went to Columbia University in the city of New York, where I was a college athlete. I ran track all the way from I was 5 up to college, right? And then I went to the University of Missouri for law school, MIZZOU. And then from there, I got my first opportunity to be a real big girl lawyer at the Jackson County Prosecutor's office as an assistant Jackson County prosecutor, getting my legal start in the office that I have the privilege of leading now. And now, granted, where I come from, I constantly heard when I told people where I was going to work, girl, you're going to do what?
Yeah.
You're going to be one of them? You're going to be the ops? But I quickly learned that the privilege of being able to challenge systems from the inside, especially systems that primarily impact people that look like me. When you have a criminal justice system where 80% of your defendants, victims, and witnesses are people of color, you have a natural connection, an intimate connection to that work. I've lost friends to gun violence. I've lost teammates. I know people that have made poor decisions and have landed themselves in prison themselves. And so just that kind of genuine connection to crime, for better or for worse, just based off of where I grew up. And that is a byproduct of predatory redlining and the concentration of poverty and all of the things that your organization works so tirelessly to overturn. That is why I know this space. And it has been so cool to be able to leverage that knowledge through leadership in a space that has not always been represented by people that look like us.
So when did you know? Was it high school, college? When did you know you went off to New York? What made you say, I'm coming back home?
Oh, New York was rough. I'm a Midwestern girl.
Like I am too, through and through. But people love the big cities, and I feel like it is such a thing for kind of our generation where people are like, I need to leave.
Yeah.
I need to leave Kansas City. But you came back home.
If everybody with a unique skill set, with intellect, with vision, leaves our community and never comes back, how do we replenish that brain trust?
Yeah.
And that has always been a thought in the back of my mind. Like, yes, having my coming of age story in New York was awesome. Like I got to go to the museums for free, Broadway shows for free. I could walk to Harlem from my dorm room. It was great. And the saying that if you could make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Is it true?
It is so true. Like I became an adult at 18, 17, 19 years old, right?
Scary.
It was terrifying. And I was broke. So living in New York on a college salary, doing work study, I ate halal truck probably every single day, right? But it teaches you how to be innovative. It teaches you how to be resourceful. It teaches you how to be tough. And I loved it. But there is no place like home. And just knowing how much I love my city, how much I love my community, my family. I have 5 godchildren, and just the opportunity to be back home and seeing them grow up. Now I'm an auntie. I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old nephews. And it's just everything that I could have asked for. So while I love New York, we have to understand as young people, especially young professionals, if we just go off and learn and create these amazing skill sets and never come back home, what is our city going to look like?
Yeah.
We are the ones that Kansas City has been waiting for. And until we accept that responsibility, which humbly I feel like I have,
Yes.
we are going to continue to have this moniker of Killer City, or have this moniker of we can't have anything, have this moniker that, the Chris Brown and Usher tour just got
Because
announced. And
they skipped everybody but us.
City.
St. Louis, Chicago. Oh, I looked at that list before I came. I said, oh, so disrespectful. If Beyonce can come here, y'all can come here.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
And so until we start to replenish what we take from this community, we're going to continue to have those frustrations. And so that's why I decided to come back home.
I love that. I feel like everybody should. And I always tell them, I'm like, if Kansas City would grow like exponentially. We're just as big as any other city if people would keep their talents here.
Yes.
Because we have talented people. It's no denying that they're talented. It's just a matter of staying here. So before becoming prosecutor, do you feel like there was like one role or one job that you feel like prepared you for this? Was it working in the office?
It was working in the office.
Okay.
As a little baby, 25-year-old, green, wet behind the ears prosecutor. For so long, I have studied African-American studies, the civil rights movement, and have a genuine understanding of the through line between chattel slavery and mass incarceration. And so naturally, so many people of color, and not just Black people, people of color in general, have a stereotypical negative relationship to this thing we call the criminal justice system. Most of us, if not all of us, know somebody that has either been affected by crime or has committed crime and has not been treated fairly on either side of the coin.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have this reluctance to want to participate in the process, kind of like politics more broadly, right?
Yeah.
My daily life isn't going to change no matter who I vote for. I hear that over and over and over again. But when I got the opportunity to join the office and to be that voice in an office that was primarily populated and frankly is still primarily populated by people who do not come from the communities that are most impacted by crime, I viewed that as a responsibility. It was a privilege. I felt like, and I quickly learned that if I was not in this room, who's speaking up for us? And that's not any knock against anybody else because we all come to our various experiences with our past experiences. If the first time you've ever really had to be inundated with Black people is through them being in orange jumpsuits and shackles, naturally, you're not going to have the best view of Black people, right?
Yeah.
But me, on the other hand, I grew up in the 3rd District. I grew up around where Bruce R. Watkins lived. I grew up where Lucille Bluford lived. I grew up around the Lucille Bluford branch of the library. I grew
Black
up
excellence.
Black excellence. The teachers, the tradesmen, the professionals that continue to pour into our community. My grandmother was really big on us knowing our Black history, not just national Black history, but local Black history as well. And I just garnered such a huge sense of pride from that. And so, that is kind of where I really started to harness my power of being the voice of the marginalized in spaces that are designed to serve us, but are not represented by us. And that is a huge disconnect that we have to continue to try to cure.
You speak so well, and you drop like so many nuggets of information within that. And you've said this is personal for you. When did you realize that, this was your calling? Because I feel like just how you speak, like you're very passionate, like this is your calling. Like when did you was like, yeah, I need to do this?
I love y'all, so I'm gonna give y'all the exclusive. Okay. The exclusive. I have not really talked about this in a very public forum. I did a little bit on my campaign trail just because over time you get tired and you get weary and you're like, listen, y'all, here I am, all of me. Let me bare my soul. My dad is a formerly incarcerated individual.
Okay.
He spent 7 years in prison for an armed robbery that he committed at the height of his drug addiction. And being a young woman in my high school and collegiate years, being completely separated by the first man that was supposed to love you, it causes a lot of stuff in you, insecurity, abandonment issues, all of those kind of things. However, when I was in law school, my dad was released from prison. And when I say immediately turned it around, like he is the representation of rehabilitation that lives in my heart every single day. And it is for that reason that I am able to understand and recognize the difference between somebody that needs strict accountability, but also needs a second chance or a healthy combination of both. Because my dad will be the first person to tell you, listen, if it were not for that time where I had to sit down, where I had to remove myself from all of the negative influences that were literally surrounding me and haunting me, I would not have been able to start anew. Fast forward to present day. He just won Employee of the Year. He's a deacon in the church. He's restored the relationship with his 2 daughters. He is grandpa of the century, okay? My nephews do not play about their papa.
That. Yes.
And so, being able to have that bloodline connection to somebody who has felt the weight of the criminal justice system, but has conquered it, really illustrated to me how personal this is for me, how passionate I am about it, but how much we need both and, not either or. We have to have accountability. We have to establish a code of conduct. We need our fathers to be present. We need our fathers and mothers to step up, right? But we also need to recognize how life has not been kind to certain people. And should we give them a second chance, a deserved second chance, they can be a good steward of that. And I am a proud daughter of a man that has done just that.
I love that. And so for some of our listeners who don't know, 12th Street Heritage has a reentry and prevention program. And so we partner with Jackson County through Combat. And we have expanded our reentry. Before it was just for felons, and now it's for anybody before you go, or just if you can't keep a job or you need to learn the fundamentals of clocking in. Because I think we lose sight of people who maybe they're not committing a crime, but you're not necessarily contributing to society either. You're not being productive. And so when we look at that, and when you look at what you've done working with violence prevention before, how do you balance the accountability with rehabilitation? Obviously, like you said, it kind of case by case, but like, what is it that you're like, I think you just need a little bit of help. Maybe you don't need to go away. But.
Absolutely. I think a great example of how we try to strike that balance is a restorative justice program that is rooted in the academically led strategy called focused deterrence. It's called Save KC.
Okay.
Basically, Save KC is an iteration of NOVA back in 2014, where we saw historic lows in homicides in our community. It is a theory and a program based in the reality that if you can catch individuals before they completely fall into the life of the streets, the ones in the margins, the ones that, are just returning home from prison and they're just now getting an opportunity to start anew, or the ones that might have been caught driving in the passenger seat of somebody that police were actively looking for. If we can grab them before it's too late. And granted, I don't ever think it's too late, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has an opportunity for change. But if we can grab them before they come under the full weight of the criminal justice system and give them an option, hey, either you take advantage of the services that we have to offer you, mental health support, housing support, child care support, workforce support that you all help with as well through 12th Street Heritage, and start a new life. That's one option. The other option is to face serious consequences through robust enforcement by not only law enforcement, but also the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. One of my favorite sayings / slogans is change your life or I will gladly change it for you. But the option and the choice is yours. But what I have found through Save KC is that so many of our young people, especially our young men, don't feel like they have an option. They don't feel like there's anything else available to them aside from the streets. They don't feel like working a 9 to 5 and climbing the ranks is a viable option because who around me is doing that. Who around me has done that and is actually living a life that I want to live. So I will always talk about the root causes of crime, because in order to really change our communities, we have to be able to diagnose how we got here. When you have poverty concentrated amongst Black folks, and where we don't have a lot of upward mobility, people will allow life to convince them that there is only one track to success, and that's either being a professional athlete or being a criminal. Mm-hmm. And you would think in 2026 that mindset has shifted by and large, but there's still so many pockets of our community where a lot of people still feel like that is their only option. So when I try to strike the balance, I take a step back and I look, okay, has this person been exposed to anything else?
Yeah.
Have they been given an opportunity to see the other side of the world? Or have they only been fed the lie that systemic racism, predatory redlining, all of these things have sold them? If the answer is they've only seen one track of life, I'm going to try to work with them. Mm-hmm. Now, trying to work with them does sometimes mean prison, okay? It does sometimes mean prison, because while I understand the root causes of crime, I also understand what violence does to a community.
Yeah, and sometimes you need a timeout.
Sometimes you need a timeout. Sometimes you need to be removed from that ecosystem that is inspiring you to literally tear your neighbors' lives apart. Mm-hmm. And being a student of Black history, understanding there was a time where we were all we had, and wanting us to get back to that, I have to remove the people that do not honor that code of conduct periodically and temporarily, because 6 out of 7 individuals that are sentenced to prison will come home to their community. And so those are some of the deeply held beliefs that help me strike that balance. But like you said, it's always a case-by-case basis. But I think this is a unique vantage point that I bring to this space that, frankly, this office has not seen before.
And that is true. And we worked with Nova when it was a program. And I do feel like through our program and partnering with, you saw a difference. You saw people have hope.
Yes.
When you know better, you do better, the old saying. But some people, if you don't know any better, you see that cycle. And what we've learned is the parents are not parents right now.
Yes.
And I feel like that makes a difference. And I don't know if you've seen it, maybe if you can catch them in middle school or in high school. I don't know if you've been seeing, okay, like this is the good age that we need to implement this program, because we see if you start here, your life is going left from here on out.
The further upstream we can go, the better off our kids will be, because you're absolutely right. I grew up, and I'm sure you grew up in an era where everybody on the block had permission to readjust you and readjust your behavior should you be acting out of line.
Oh, yeah.
Those days are gone.
You can't say anything to anybody's kids. They gonna go off on you, and the parents are gonna go off on you too. And so I think as a society, though, we need to hold each other accountable, but we can't hold just the prosecutor accountable for, well, now Pookie got 20 years.
Ooh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, because I knew going into this job that I was going to get criticized. You can't make anybody happy.
Yeah.
You can't make everybody happy.
You can't make everybody. You see, I did.
You can't make everybody happy.
For our people. I'm like, I already know.
But honestly, I thought I would get it the hardest from very, very right-wing, super conservative individuals.
It's always your own.
But it has been my own. It has been people of color in the urban core that instead of having conversations about why people commit the crimes that they do, the conversation is about what I have or have not done.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to avail myself. I'm willing to be transparent. I'm willing to hold myself accountable to the people that I serve. But I also need us to hold each other accountable. Mm. It's a necessary, it's a prerequisite if we are going to be better. You cannot talk about my charging decisions without talking about the underlying conduct that even brought my office into the equation to have to act. And I think that part of the conversation has been lost, or it is lost. It's missing. It's missing. And it is missing because people see the first Black prosecutor getting elected and they automatically expect, oh, I'm getting a handout.
I'm getting rampant.
I'm getting a jail out of free guard, baby. I don't have those available.
Yeah.
Nor will I ever.
If you do, I would like to hold the first one.
Unfortunately, we do not produce
Yes.
those, because if you're going to hold me accountable, I'm going to hold you accountable. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. And so I think various sectors of our community really need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in some of the conversations that we have. We do have a problem about glorifying violence.
Yeah.
In certain pockets of our community. We're not the only demographic that has that problem, but we are a demographic that has that problem. What are we going to do about that? What are we going to do about the single mother households? What are we going to do about the failing education? What are we going to do about the lack of financial literacy? What are we going to do about all of the things that violence literally gets its life from? And until we're ready to have those conversations, I will always have a job. I'll just put it that way.
We want you to keep your job. So,
well, thank you.
Yes. So, as the first Black person, you've kind of spoke about the responsibility that this, means to you. But how do you hope your leadership style can change the system?
My leadership style is rooted firmly in authenticity. I used to be the queen of code switching. Let me tell you.
I feel like that's what we're taught in the professional realm.
That is how we're raised professionally. You get to be Black, but you don't get to be too Black.
Not at work.
I'm sure people have noticed the change in my hair. As I sit across from you today, typically I have kind of like a short pixie, very tame, very controlled. But I'm a Black girl. And sometimes my Black hair needs a braid.
And it's summer.
From heat. And it's
so
summer.
Y'all about to get this.
And Black girls get braids, right? And Black girls get braids. And so, honestly, we're going to continue to do the work. We're going to continue to produce results. We're going to have our dashboard so everybody can track our progress. But the unspoken reality of my leadership is that now little Black girls get to see somebody that they can connect to visually on TV in a position that was never designed for her to hold.
And I love that.
And that will make sure that little Black girls know that you have a place in every room where decisions are made. You belong at every table where leadership is upheld. No matter what you look like, no matter how your nails are, no matter what your hair looks like, you deserve to be there as long as you are producing. And I feel like that is what I inherently represent. And that just makes my heart smile, because I know as a little Black girl, I looked for that.
Yeah.
And now that I can be that, it's surreal. It's humbling and it's beautiful, and I love it.
Full circle moment.
Yes, for sure.
So we kind of talked about what people think you can do. Just as prosecutor, get jail out of free cards. Is there anything that you think the public misunderstands about how prosecution and public safety actually work, and the system is not just one person making that, decision? There's steps to get there. What do you think?
Absolutely. One of the biggest frustrations about my job is when we think something happened. We believe something happened. But we're not able to prove something happened beyond a reasonable doubt. Prosecutors are held to the highest ethical and evidentiary burden in the entire legal system. We even have our own ethical rules specifically written for us because we are the ministers of justice. We essentially have people's lives in our hands on a daily basis. So we don't get to file charges or try cases where we have a hunch or a suspicion that something happened. We have to be able to prove with concrete evidence, with DNA, with surveillance video, with witness statements. Community, I'm talking to you. Okay? If you are upset about a crime that is being committed and you have personal knowledge about it, guess what? We can't prosecute without you. We need you to step up. We have to be able to overcome that hurdle. Also, we have some of the most expansive self-defense laws in the state of Missouri. And so that sometimes serves as a barrier as well. And I know even bond has been a lot of part of discussion in our work thus far this past year and almost a half. People that are charged with a crime, there is a assumption that they should get a bond as long as they are not a flight risk or a danger to the community.
That's what we've been taught on TV.
That's right. You're taught on TV that no bond, and people stay in prison. That's not how the real system works, right? And judges actually set bond. We can request a sentence or a bond until we are blue in the face as prosecutors, but at the end of the day, that decision lies with the judge. And so, a lot of people watch court TV shows, myself included. I love Reasonable Doubt. Jax is like one of my muses. I love Law and Order, all of those shows, SVU, Suits.
Yes.
Real life doesn't quite work that way. And I do want our community to understand that. But that is why we have taken such a responsibility in trying to educate our community. We have a social media series called Understanding the Justice System, where we dive into various topics inherent in the criminal justice system to try to bring the community into our decision making so that they know more about the decisions that we have to make every single day.
I like that. Transparency, you already said that was that's how you start. But I do think there's a lot of misconceptions that even I had. So
yes,
that is good to know. What does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, no 2 days are the same. No 2 days are the same. Today was a lot of meetings. There was a lot of World Cup prep as well. But typically, I have an open door policy. People are asking me for approval on various plea agreements. I talk to my director of communications, Jaslyn Johnson, a lot about different press releases that we're putting out, social media strategies, once again, to lean into transparency, meeting with judges, frequent meetings with law enforcement to make sure that our policies are aligned, making sure that we are leaving no stone unturned as it pertains to investigating various offenses that we have not been able to charge yet. I attend, tomorrow morning I'll be at KCPD Shoot Review at 8 a.m. where we workshop all of the non-fatal and fatal shootings that happened the week prior. Just a host of stuff. And then aside from the legal work, and this has honestly probably been the biggest eye-opener for me, and I think you could probably relate to this, the business of running a business.
Yes.
HR, budgets, just the back office infrastructure. And I have an amazing team. My executive staff literally walks on water in my world. They relieve me from so much, but having to learn about IRS and taxes and about our delinquent tax fund and all of these things that go into running what is considered a medium-sized law firm. We have 176 people in my office. Okay. 76 of them are attorneys. The rest are support staff, victim advocates, investigators, legal assistants. We even have 2 dogs on staff.
We do too.
Yes, I know.
Snow and Gracie, y'all.
Shout out to Jackson Ralph. Absolutely. But the sheer kind of infrastructure and administration work on running an office of that magnitude, it takes up at least 60 to 70% of my time.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a lot. And I was not expecting that, but we're figuring it out slowly but surely.
Is there anything fun that is a responsibility that maybe most people don't realize falls under you?
I love doing stuff like this and just educating the community. But fun stuff.
Or something unique that falls under your role that people really wouldn't think is.
Combat.
Yes.
Honestly, combat. Would love to talk about combat. The Jackson County Prosecutor's Office is unique in that not only do we have the prosecutorial side of our operation where we're handling the cases and advocating for justice, we also have what is essentially a grant-making agency for grassroots organizations working in the violence prevention and intervention apparatus. And that is the community-backed anti-crimes tax. Anybody in Jackson County, you have a 4-cent sales tax that is imposed on anything that you buy. That goes into a pot of about $30 million. That $30 million funds everything like positions in the prosecutor's office, law enforcement functions, even funds positions in the courts. But $10 million of that goes directly to community organizations like 12th Street Heritage to really, yes, shameless plug, to really try to get at what we were discussing earlier, those root causes of crime, the lack of employment, the lack of education, the lack of literacy, financial literacy, all of the things that make healthy communities. And, I love working with our combat agencies because in my opinion, they are the true heroes. We can prosecute prosecute day in and day out until we are blue in the face. But unless we really attack those root causes, and that's primarily what combat grant making does, we are going to continue this vicious cycle of criminality. It is such a joy to see what you all have done with your reentry program. It's a joy to see what KC Mothers in Charge is doing, what our domestic violence organizations that we fund are doing, because that's been a huge focal point of my administration. To see the restoration that happens in those spaces, it gives me hope. It keeps me energized. It keeps me believing in that we can actually change as a community. And if it were not for combat, I think I might fall into the same perils that a lot of other prosecutors around the country do. And that is one-track mind, just focus on punitive punishment, and that is all that we do. I am so proud that the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office is different, and I have combat to thank for a lot of that.
Yes. And combat has shaped a lot of organizations. Because I feel like even we, as an organization, you're like, I feel like I can make a difference. How? Mm-hmm. And partnering with combat, even for funding or anything else, you having somebody back you like the prosecutor, you're like, okay, we can do it. We can do it. So for millennials and Gen Z who might want to go into law, public service, or criminal justice, but don't know where to start, what advice would you give them?
Be curious. Be very curious. I think we live now in a time where social media is so prevalent and so many people take what they see on social media as law.
Yep.
The job of being a lawyer, the job of being a public servant is to dissect things that have been served to us on a silver platter, right?
Okay.
Like, maybe not everybody needs the maximum available punishment to achieve safer communities, right? Maybe I don't have to follow this political ideology because that's what I've been taught, right? I don't even necessarily consider myself as like a flaming liberal. Like, I'm a moderate, right? Like, I believe people need accountability, but I also believe in second chances, right? That is okay. But we live in an era where you're either one or the other.
Black and white. There's
no
black
gray.
And white.
There's no gray area. Don't be afraid of the gray. The gray is where change actually happens. The gray is where policies actually can be implemented. I would also say, make sure you get good grades.
High school,
starting in high school, because your grades in high school determine where you go to college. Where you go to college determines where you go to law school. And where you go to law school and how successful you are there determines kind of what your professional trajectory can look like thereafter. And so take your life seriously. Take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that, frankly, that is something that's been lost in modern era. No knock against influencers. I have a robust social media presence myself. But don't be afraid of substance.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of substance. Everything doesn't have to be centered around what you just bought. What do you think?
Yeah.
And I think the world needs more of that. And so that is what I would tell kind of the next generation coming up behind us, because we're the OGs now, which is crazy.
Although I started out, I'm like, we're young,
right,
for our position, but yeah, we're the aunties now.
We're the aunties, we're the OGs.
I don't mind it.
And I don't mind. I love it. Yeah. I love my 30s. Oh my gosh, because now I feel like I have such a more firm grasp on the world and what makes me tick. And I just want people coming up to not be afraid of hard work. Don't be afraid of learning. Don't be afraid of rejection. And don't be afraid of substance. The world needs more of it.
Is there any question I did not ask you or any statement that you want to make to the people?
Ooh, no, we've been talking.
We've been talking.
I love this. We've been talking.
I was like, I asked one question so in depth. I love it. Yes. You ready for rapid fire?
Okay, this is what I've been waiting on. Okay, this is what I've been waiting on.
One word to describe your leadership style.
Authentic.
Okay. Favorite place in Kansas City?
The Pit, the bar in the back of the Gates on 12th Street.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your guilty pleasure show or hobby?
Baddies.
Oh, okay. We listen and we don't judge.
I appreciate it.
Okay. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Ooh.
It's a good one. I was like, oh, I want to ask her this.
Ooh. If I Can't by 50 Cent.
Okay. What's one thing you want people to take away from this conversation?
That your public servants and your elected officials are people.
Yes.
We might have this kind of tough exterior facade, but we really do care. Mm-hmm. And it matters to us that even if you don't agree with our decisions, you try to understand. And I want the community to recognize their role in producing safer communities. We always hold the mayor to task, the chief of police to task, me to task, right? 12th Street Heritage to task, okay?
You talking bad to us.
But until we all recognize our respective role in contributing to a better community, to being a better people, we're going to continue to fall short. And so I ask you to partner with me. I ask you to join me. I ask you to support our office to do what I deeply believe that we can, and that is to create a safer and more equitable Kansas City.
And on that note, everyone is a city sculptor, and I thank you for tuning in to the City Sculptors Podcast. We will see you next time.